Alright, well I just watched this quantum physics documentary and I wanted to get some ideas out before I forget them. So one of the things was about how a particle can split into two and be in two separate places at the same exact time. And there's other one where as electrons kind of hit walls, a lot of them bounce off, but some of them can pass through them by somehow existing at the same place at the same time, one before and one after, and this one dissolves and picks up over here or something like that. And then there's this theory called the multiple universe theory or many universe theory, saying that every single possibility exists simultaneously in different dimensions. So like if I make a choice to throw the ball, both the choice of me throwing the ball and not throwing the ball exists in different dimensions at the same time. There's kind of an infinite spectrum kind of thing. Because particles have the ability to exist in multiple places at the same time, and we are made up of particles, and so we can all exist in multiple places at the same time. That's a theory. But I think that theory is flawed because not every single particle is split at the same time. You know, it's random. Some of them exist at two places at one time, and some of them exist at one place. You know, some of electrons pass through the barrier, you know, and some of them bounce off. And so it's not, you know, there's not enough of these sort of splits happening at the same time in order to create any sort of cohesive reality. There's just more bits and pieces of realities that don't have enough substance to them to create any kind of coherent sort of reality. Whereas there's in the possibility waves, you know, when you the double split experiments, the part in the middle is always the brightest, and where they fade off towards the edges. So these are all possibilities, but the probability exists in the center, right? And this current reality is sort of the is post-probability. This is the result of the probability wave, you know, the part of reality that made it to a state of cohesion, right? And now you still have all these other parts, you know, all these sort of fragmented, you know, parts of reality that exist in a state of possibility as simultaneously as us, but they're not cohesive alternate realities, you know, not cohesive parallel realities. They're more just jumbled up bits and pieces and stuff like that. And since we all collapse into cohesion based on consciousness or perception, you know, like I said in my last video, like everything is just a wave of possibility and not really anything. You know, the moon doesn't exist unless someone's perceiving the moon to exist, right? And that's why Einstein didn't like the quantum physics theory, because he wants to believe that the moon exists even though no one's looking at it. But it's proven to be false. The moon simply does not exist unless someone's looking at it. Same with me and you. Like my whole body, this cohesive reality exists as a result of some sort of conscious intention mechanism sort of holding it in place. You know, dark matter, you know, consciousness can take the place of dark matter or willing. But, so like when you're around other life forms and trees, even if you're not, say if you're sleeping, you know, you're not perceiving well, forget that part. Everything creates each other. So that tree outside is making me collapse into this form, even if I'm not able to perceive myself, that tree. And so everything that we surround ourselves with, you know, and that is every piece of life or every piece of matter that has some sort of consciousness component to it, all are in a mutual sort of relationship that create reality. You know, I don't create all of reality. Everything creates reality as a collective. You know, from the point of view of us being individuals, but we're all actually the same consciousness, and so we just one consciousness creating the reality. You know, and that level of consciousness where we're all sort of the same thing is sort of the driving, is dark matter, I think. But my point is that when you're dreaming, though, like when your body is sleeping and you're dreaming, you know, how you have these, you know, like I had a dream last night about the world ending, aliens were attacking us or something like that, and me and Jennifer were running from them, and we ended up at this prison, and we had to go through death row, and we had to make a choice to trust the prisoners in death row in order to go through and to avoid being killed. But once we got in there, well, anyway, stuff happened, and we got out of the death row part of the prison, and then it turned into a big cathedral with this ancient kind of stuff going down. But the dream world is not cohesive, you know. It's just fragmented. You get these fragments of cohesive reality sort of all pushed together, you know, to create a reality, but a reality that doesn't have any cohesion to it. That's crazy. That has all different kinds of components to it from other pieces of reality, but kind of squished together. It's like all these leftover components, you know, that didn't make it to the post-probability cohesive reality still exist, and they're accessible somehow through dreaming or something like that, you know. It's like chaos theory, right? It's sort of, anytime you have something that seems random, like they can take raindrops, you know, raindrops are totally random, and if you put the raindrops into a computer system, you know, and they will create some sort of crazy psychedelic, you know, pattern to them that has cohesion. You know, even taking the river seems random, but when you look at it, even rivers and how they spread off and stuff like that have these very sort of organized mathematical fractal sort of components to them, you know. So everything that seems to be completely random, and they are completely random, there's still this sort of driving force, this driving value system that doesn't try to create out of, you know, something that is random into something that's cohesive, but because of sort of this contingent sort of, I don't know, quantum computer multi-dimensional sort of intuitive consciousness that exists, that things that are completely random can be contextualized in a way that create a cohesiveness, so to speak, you know. And so, like, when you get all these fragmented, you know, incomplete sort of aspects of reality, maybe there is a part of consciousness that likes to will that into a contextual cohesion, you know, that create you know, these parallel universes that aren't parallel perfectly, but are contextualized in like a dream state where you get all these fragmented pieces put together, and you have a narrative or a storyline involving these parallel universes that just doesn't make sense in our classical sort of post-probability reality kind of thing. So I would say I don't think that there's parallel universes and every single choice exists in a reality that's just as cohesive as ours. I think that these jumbled up sort of fragmented things sort of come together to create these weird dream state kind of realities or something like that. So that was what came up for me when I was watching that documentary. That's kind of what I wanted to get up. Alright.